Hey everyone, Xbox Game Pass is getting an upgrade.
Make it stop!
Hey guys, I'm not going to be mincing words in this video. I think it's time that we had a straight talk where we just lay down all our cards on the table and talk plainly without any copium. I already tried to talk about this before in an easier way, trying to reach out across the aisle to the hardcore Xbox fans to start having some self-respect and standards and demanding better from their platform of choice before it's too late. But today we're gonna dive right into it, head first and in my own way of seeing things, rather than charts and graphs and whatever, and rather than, slow and easy like the last few times. If you want a longer and perhaps more detailed way with receipts, you can either check Legendary Drop's most recent video about Xbox, where I believe he goes into it, or some of my own here on the channel, since I've already rang the bells on this situation and more months ago. So just in case some of you guys don't know what exactly I'm talking about yet, Xbox just lost their minds over the past couple of days and bumped the price of Game Pass up like crazy. I mean, technically they've been losing their minds for far longer than that, but you get the point. They did a whole new arrangement that separates features into a tier system. Totally pointless thing. They announced all manner of new features like, oh, look at all this stuff giving you, the players, more choice. But it's all bull, okay?
We've listened to your feedback. And now you have even more freedom to choose how you play the games you want.
It's just an excuse to take the Game Pass Ultimate subscription, which is the one that everyone wants because of course it's the one with the most games, it's the one with EA and Ubisoft attached to it as well, and now it's the one that lets you play the new first party games on day one as they launch, and they bumped it up to $30 for a single month. Other subscription tiers were also increased. The price of the service in general, even the basic Xbox Live feature, which was renamed to Xbox Game Pass Core before and now was renamed again to Game Pass Essential, has gone up.
First off, you might have noticed some changes to the plan names. Xbox Game Pass Core is now Xbox Game Pass Essential, Xbox Game Pass Standard is now Xbox Game Pass Premium, and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is still Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. We explored other names, but they didn't work out.
So basically, prices up across the board. That's the gist of why Xbox is once again under fire right now, leading to so many people cancelling their subscriptions to the point that the page even crashed. Even though they've been under fire a lot lately because it's just terrible decision after terrible decision, like the $1,000 handheld console, the bumping up of the game prices to $80, the cancellation of more games like Perfect Dark, the increase of the price of Xbox consoles, despite the fact that we're nearing the end of the generation, so on, so forth. They've been on a ridiculous losing streak. Now here's the thing, Xbox has a massive problem that has been kind of ignored for a while because morons don't see it. Of course I'm talking about Game Pass, but it's not that simple. Just stick around and I'll explain the real problem behind it. And even if some do see it, they just go, yeah, I don't care because I don't use it. Which, hey, fair enough, at least you're not supporting it. The problem is, Xbox doesn't care if you don't use it. They will just deteriorate their entire ecosystem until you do. Let's get into it. The Game Pass is completely unsustainable.
The fuck you say to me, you little shit?
Oh my god, why are you so angry?
Because the fucking youth of society. You shut up when I'm talking to you!
Hey, it is what it is, okay? I said we're going straight into the pit on this one. This has been an ongoing debate for years now. And you know what? Years ago, maybe some skepticism was warranted. First of all, the service was a legitimately good deal for us, the players, and so of course we didn't really like seeing it getting attacked in the first place. But that time is long gone. The value isn't even there anymore. And they just keep increasing the damn price. Like, the value isn't there now, and a year from now the value is going to be even worse. And there's a lot of shills out there trying to protect it, you know what I mean? Like trying to say that, no, the value is still there because for $30 you can't even buy a single AAA game, and the Xbox Game Pass presents various AAA games. How long and how far are these people going to take these excuses? Because by this logic, the Game Pass could cost like $500 a month, and it would be completely justified because, oh, look at all the games, there's so many games that if you bought them all together, it would cost way more money. This is why it's pointless to even address this argument. It's just utterly retarded, and it's not really going to go anywhere, literally. If they make the Game Pass $40 next month, they're going to defend it because, you know, same excuse. And I really mean it. You could make it $500, these people are still going to be defending it because they justify it in that same vein. So, you know, forget about it. But there's other ones out there who defend it in a different way. Basically, they love posturing around like experts or some shit, going off about how, no, it's not. The Game Pass is actually a brilliant and fantastic business model, and anyone who doesn't see it is simply not a prestigious member of the economic community. And I just wish that everyone would just stop and drop the copium altogether. Because if that's the case, where's the evidence for it? Why is Xbox in constant decline instead? Why are their prices constantly rising while the quality keeps going down? And these aren't even the only issues present with this. There's another way bigger one that I addressed in this video right here, about how it's enabling an age of slop to happen. By which I mean it's completely rewiring the Xbox business model and ecosystem. I'm seeing this coming since a while now, and I'm telling you, at the end of the line, what we have is the fact that the Game Pass isn't just a neat little option anymore, it's the entire ecosystem, it's the entire Xbox brand, their whole identity and the primary way for you guys to play Xbox. The Game Pass is so desperately unsustainable that it requires every Xbox user to be subscribed to it in order to make it work, and even then, on top of that, it requires the prices to go up, just as it has been happening. Microsoft has been playing the long game with this one. The cute, lovely subscription service that was the best deal in gaming once upon a time, a great boon to all of the Xbox user base, yeah, that was never meant to last. That was just meant to attract people and business as an initial step, before starting to gradually increase the prices across the board and hoping that eventually we reach a point where the Game Pass is the only saving grace that we have, the best out of a bad situation, and the bad situation is one of their own making. How? Well, through their decisions lately. This is also why they increased the standard price of their games to $80 alongside Nintendo earlier this year. It's not because they genuinely believe that their games are worth $80, of course not. They know they're not. Hell, they know it so well that they caved and dropped the price of Outer Worlds 2 to $70. Don't get used to it though, they're definitely going to stick to their word of putting them all up in 80. Not now, but soon. They're also limiting their physical distribution for Xbox first-party titles. Some games have no physical distribution at all, others weren't going to, but recent backlash has made Xbox think twice. Regardless, they're barely even keeping the game in the disc. It's usually just an installation file, and then you gotta download the whole thing separately. This is them softly eroding game ownership. And don't forget that they were part of that big crew of assholes trying to stop the Stop Killing Games initiative. They're increasing game prices and eliminating physical distribution because it's all part of the same plan of establishing an all-digital subscription-based future as the normal thing. They essentially want you, the consumer or the customer or whatever word you're more comfortable with, to be so fucked by the system that they're creating where they're devaluing and eliminating physical ownership of a game, including all the benefits that come with it, plus increasing the prices of the games up to such a high point where you look at the Game Pass and even though it's also expensive and totally not worth it, you go, oh my goodness gracious, thank you so much Xbox Game Pass for allowing me to access this new video game for $30 instead of $80. And you know, that's the current pricing model. Of course, it's only going to get worse from here. We are getting cooked, my friends. The Game Pass is so unsustainable that Xbox needs to change the whole ecosystem into such an anti-consumer mess just to justify further price increases and force more of you to subscribe to it. And they're waiting and hoping for other companies to follow their lead so they can monopolize the system together. In a way, you could say that Xbox has been playing this long game for even longer, all the way back from the days of Xbox One where they wanted to lock our video games to a single account, effectively ending the second-hand market, eliminating the middleman of physical stores, and also the basic notion of gamers borrowing their games to each other. Why? Well, because the less control and options that you have as a customer, the more they can screw you over. That's literally all there is to it, and it actually makes me so sad, both sad but also salty to be honest, to see so many people going digital when they don't have to. I get it, if you're on PC, that's it, you know, digital is the only way, but you also have other avenues for cheaper deals where your control over the market can be exercised, such as key stores online, and of course, sailing the high seas. But seeing console players going digital for major releases makes me lose my mind, honestly. And sometimes, when a company increases its prices, a part of me just wants to mock these people complaining about it as they flail around saying, "Oh, why are digital games increasing too? Ugh."
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
And this is because you actually have so much damn power with physical distribution, but you just let go of it. You are forfeiting it for the companies that are fucking you over, and then you're complaining that the companies are fucking you over. You actually have so much power over the market with physical distribution. You can engage in the second-hand market, for example, which, yes, if you are going to GameStop, it's going to be shit and it's going to be a scam. Absolutely. But if you look around, I'm sure you can find better deals in better stores. In my country, we have the Complete Electronics Exchange, or CEX for short, and it's present in several other countries. And even though their deals also used to be better a few years ago, they're still pretty damn decent when it comes to trading in your used games and getting other ones for a fairly decent exchange rate. But that's not even all, because then there's also the regular stores. Now, again, same as it is with the GameStops of this world, if you go to a main mega store, you're going to get scammed with taxes already being put on new games, which increase the price of a standard copy of a $70 game to $80, or euros in my case. I've been paying $70 for euros for games for ages, way back in the Xbox 360 days already, because they came out at $60 and then the stores added the tax. When they increased to 70, I've been paying 80, and when they increased to 80, we'll be paying 90. And this goes for a lot of people out there in the world. I see comments in my videos talking about how games are already $80 all the time, some places even higher. The way that I avoid this is I seek out gamer-friendly stores. If you do that for yourselves, you're going to be so happy because you will find amazing places selling games without that tax. In fact, sometimes even cheaper, and sometimes with huge deals such as Take 3, Pay 2, where you can pre-order 3 games and only pay for 2 of them, or regular purchases, it doesn't have to be pre-orders. This shit, all of this, gives you power over these scumbags in the industry. It allows us to vote with our wallets. Options and alternatives are power. Without physical media, the goddamn industry would be even worse than it is right now, even for people who don't use physical media, because as you can see, they increase the prices all around. They don't care if you're playing digitally or if you're playing physically. They don't even care if you're using a subscription. They increase the prices regardless on everything. There's also local store sales to take advantage of, and most importantly, you don't even need sales. The prices of games on a physical store naturally go lower over time, allowing you to pick up a banger of a video game for a fraction of the price that it cost at launch. Here's an example. Jedi Survivor, a major title from 2 years ago, is now purchasable at $20 on this store. Meanwhile, here's the same game on the digital marketplace of PlayStation. Bam! 80 euros. I mean, god damn. I also checked Steam and it's not much better there either. It's currently on sale for $14, but outside of sales, it's still $70. Now fellas, come on. You can't tell me that there's a greater pleasure out there than being able to stick it to these greedy ass fucking corporations going around their back and their iron grip on the digital market by buying physical copies of the same games for a fourth of the price. But anyway, I won't harp on too much on this point. I'm just trying to give you guys an example of just how much of a fuck you can give to these companies if you support the existence of physical media and prevent them from taking it away from us. The consoles are doing it too. That's why the new PlayStation, the Pro, came out without a fucking CD drive, and then they sold that separately for $120, or however much it was. They want to take it away from you, not to make games cheaper because, oh, it's digital, now we don't have to, you know, spend money on the physical production cost. Forget it. It's not because of that. They want to take it away from you so that they can increase the prices further and leave you with no options, except for the options that they're willing to sell to you, such as subscription services with ever-increasing prices. Once the real physical market is gone, so will our control over the market. We'll be at their mercy, and mercy is not a word that they have in their vocabulary. They will unironically sell you a 10-year-old game at $80 and not even care about it. Now, once again, to make sure that this gets through the heads of the Xbox fanboys, the Xbox Game Pass is so insanely unsustainable that they couldn't even afford to do the usual nickel and dime increase that they normally do, where they just bump up the subscription price a couple of bucks. They are so desperate that they went straight for a $10 push. They are dying so badly out there that they didn't even bother to do it the easy way, because the easy way just doesn't cut it anymore, fellas. They have made so many bad decisions and are burning through so much money that they need to break through that price barrier and make the increases far more prominent. And no, you can't change my mind on this. In fact, I'll tell you what else. You're so far from changing my mind on this that I'm going to list even more reasons why the Game Pass is shit. So as I was saying back there, the Game Pass isn't meant to be a nice little optional thing for Xbox users. If it was, I wouldn't be making this video and Xbox wouldn't be exponentially increasing their prices. That is truly the root of the problem here. I wouldn't care if you guys want to keep using Game Pass if not for the fact that I see clearly the hole that Xbox is digging for itself. They are in a sunk cost fallacy situation where they think that all the money that they already lost in trying to make the Game Pass work needs to be for something. They just can't call it quits now, not after such a waste. Sadly, they don't see that the way to ensure a better future for themselves is to stop it right now, reformulate it. They don't even need to end it completely, but just reformat it. Not in the way they just did by making it even more complicated and expensive, but by dialing it back down significantly. In my Age of Slop video, I predicted that we're going to see more games like Avowed, mediocre titles at lower budgets that are basically shadows of their studio's former selves. Games that are merely made to keep people subscribed, to hold them over from month to month. Their mentality is not to deliver truly impressive and marking experiences to drive forward sales, it's just to release games to hold people over with their subscriptions. Basically, Xbox has essentially already quit the rat race, you know? They don't even want to sell you games, they want to sell you a subscription that prioritizes quantity over quality. They don't even care about all the studios and IPs that they acquired. They don't want to bring them glory, they just want their namesake to attract consumers. And another way that it ensures this slopification of content is they aren't held accountable for their mistakes. A game like Avowed was so disappointing, in so many ways so embarrassing even, that in other circumstances could have been a major problem that gets the studio into trouble. Now, I know that some of you may go, oh, but Des, why do you want studios to get in trouble? Well, because I want them to do better. I want them to shuffle whatever they need to shuffle around to make sure that their mistakes are not repeated. I want them to get rid of bad hires and welcome aboard newer, better ones that are there to turn things around. But the Game Pass prevents this from happening because the game performance is not judged on an individual level. There's a safety net underneath every first-party game because the entire revenue of the Game Pass sustains them collectively. They may see a game underperforming compared to others, but it's not a big deal because all of the active subscriptions are still sustaining it even if they are not playing it. This year was very noteworthy in this regard because we had, for instance, Expedition 33, which undoubtedly drove a lot of subscriptions. In fact, Expedition 33 was far better for the Game Pass than the Game Pass was for Expedition 33. And the revenue that the Game Pass got from people getting a subscription or renewing an existing one to play Expedition 33 goes to fund that safety net where flops like Avowed fall into, preventing catastrophic mistakes to be taken seriously and acted upon. And that's part of why I'm so against it. It shouldn't be this way, it's not an inherent problem of the service itself, but sadly, Xbox is using it this way. It's a mechanism that enables bad behavior and a lowering of the quality of the content that they make, plus a concerted effort on the side to make the alternatives worse by comparison. How can anyone defend this? Like, what are we defending exactly when we say that this is still a good thing and still providing value? Like, what damn value? Because it's still only $30 and you get like, what, 400 games through it? Because what I see is you get to the end of the year and you spend $360 on a thing that is majorly composed of titles that you're not even going to touch because you're not interested. And they're literally just there to bloat the service up so that they can look like they're giving you this big, beautiful number. Like, look at the big number. Isn't the number so big, guys? Guys, look at the big number over here, and now look at this smaller number over here. Isn't that amazing? So just a big bloated service with a bunch of games that are basically trash to you because you're not going to interact with them, and then a few games that you actually liked playing. And the funny shit is that if you want to replay some of them again tomorrow, you probably won't be able to because these games cycle in and out of the service. Meanwhile, there's a whole universe of other games out there from all over the price range that you're not even looking at because it's not on the Game Pass list. It's a content funnel. Now yeah, sure, if I get to the end of the year and I count the money that I spent on video games, it's probably going to go over those $360. Results may vary here depending on how smart you are with your purchases. Like, of course, if what you do is click pre-order on the digital storefront in every single mainstream AAA title, you're cooked. But if you're smarter, $360 can get you a lot of fulfilling entertainment. But anyway, regardless, at least they're games that I chose. They're games that I'm invested in, and they're games that I now own, neatly stacked on my shelf and ready for me to play anytime that I want. Or ready for me to take back to the store and trade it in for another one. So in short, I reached the end of the damn year pretty satisfied with my purchases. I'm having a blast with Dying Light the Beast, Hell is Us, and Bleak Faith Forsaken right now, none of which are on Game Pass. I wouldn't want to miss out on titles like these just because Daddy Microsoft didn't put it on the Game Pass.
Oh hey, I'm just about to go to bed. I know we couldn't Skype tonight, but that's alright. Good night, girl. I'll see you tomorrow.
And most of all, I reached the end of the year without supporting an unsustainable business model that's fucking over the industry that I love, trying to make it more hostile, more expensive, less flexible, and less accessible. I reached the end of the year without supporting a company that is deliberately creating a massive problem just to be able to sell me a shitty solution down the line. And that right there gets me to sleep pretty good at night. Now, yes, I will dial it back down a little bit. I used to be pretty big on Xbox. I was a 360 boy, and I loved that console. Even with the great exclusives floating around on the PlayStation side of things and all my friends at school having PS3s, I was happy with my Xbox, and to this day it's still a platform that I can appreciate because of, for instance, game preservation with backwards compatibility and optimization, or could if they weren't constantly trying to fuck us over on other areas. I understand people liking the Game Pass too. I have used it myself in the past. I was in a tougher situation a couple of years ago and I didn't have that much money to spare for games. I needed to save up, but I also wanted to engage in the hobby. I mean, every day you go to work, it's a shitty day, you want to get home, you want to play some video games. It is what it is. And the Game Pass was the way that I kept myself entertained during that period. In theory, I see the value of the Game Pass because of situations like these. However, I also see that as a temporary situation and not one that I was, looking to be permanently on. But again, it all comes down to what Xbox is doing with it, as it is with this obsession from them of wanting to make it the entire Xbox brand and the center of Xbox's ecosystem. It's just not working out. Sorry, I meant ecosystem, by the way. They need to scale it down significantly and return to making it just a service. Remove day one launches if they have to, so they can sell their games and so that deals with third-party studios aren't as pricey or something like that. I mean, I don't know, man. All I know is that the way that things are going right now, Xbox does not have a future. On the exclusive side of things, they made acquisition after acquisition after acquisition. Some of them were damn near catastrophic, like the Activision deal, and in other cases, they just feel like total wastes of potential, like for example with Bethesda and all their studios. I expected so much more, but it seems that all of these individual studios are so mismanaged. Some of the games that they put out were decent, others were straight up ass. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't see the value in most of what they bought. My hopes and dreams when they were buying up studios was that under Microsoft, they would have been safe to pursue riskier ideas and always count on good funding to make the very best games that they could. I'm talking about studios like Team Ninja, Obsidian, Arcane, Bethesda, id, Machine Games, Compulsion Games, etc. Basically, a direct answer to what PlayStation was doing in the last generation with Horizon, Spider-Man, God of War, Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima, and honestly even Days Gone, despite the weaker reception. Instead, a bunch of these games were taking forever to release. Hellblade 2, for instance, took years and years to be made, and then it was just, what, 6 hours long or so? Visually and artistically stunning for sure, but I mean, man, like, how much money was put into just that? Starfield was a crushingly painful disappointment. Avowed was even worse, to the point where I don't even recognize Obsidian anymore. I hope Outer Worlds 2 will be a major shift, but honestly, from the trailer alone, it's not looking promising. Halo, the less said about what they're doing with the Halo brand, the better. Arcane released a broken-ass vampire game, ended up with one of its studios shut down, and now we've been waiting for news on Blade. Indiana Jones was good. I haven't played it, I'm not gonna lie. I had Gamepass earlier this year, but I just didn't feel like giving it a go at all. I'll get around to it someday, but so far it seems that the reception has been good. South of Midnight was the, it has the issue spelled all over its namesake. It's South of Mid. Perfect Dark, a game that I was looking forward to, despite them making Joanna Dark look like Lord Farquaad, got itself cancelled because of course it did. If you look at what kind of morons were developing that game, you can understand precisely why. I don't even feel like continuing, man. It's just all so forgettable and underwhelming. And then on top of that, we have a terrible culture spreading through Xbox Game Studios, partly due to the issue that I mentioned in this video about mediocrity becoming the norm, but also because of Xbox diving headfirst into all manner of hypersensitive bullshit with a list of creative restrictions that their developers need to keep in mind whenever they're making new games. So again, on the game development side of things aren't looking good. On the hardware side of things are even worse, with the price of the console rising throughout the generation instead of going down as it usually is the case. A handheld at $1,000 is just fucking retarded, pardon my French, and this terrible push towards turning Xbox into a cloud gaming platform like Google Stadia is even worse. Remember Google Stadia, by the way? That shit is dead these days. And I know some people out there, even Asmongold himself, argue that some things come far before their time, and cloud gaming could actually work now. But who are we kidding here? It's not going to happen like this. They're not pioneering anything, they're just scamming people. The convenience is the selling point, but that convenience is nuked by the pricing models that these corpos employ, and the convenience is also nuked by the existence of fairer alternatives. In other words, cloud gaming only works if you completely eliminate those alternatives and reformat the way that the industry works, the size of the budgets, and even the perceived value of a game from our side of things. And that shit is not happening. At least not now. Oh, I'm sure it'll happen someday. Young people these days are already being conditioned to it through the absolute cesspit that is mobile gaming and garbage entertainment that gives them ADHD. But not today. At least not if we have something to say about it. So it's time to stop shilling, it's time to stop making excuses for it, time to stop playing console war team sports and advocate for the betterment of the entire medium that we love. The games industry as we knew it, driven by passion and creativity, is gone. At least most of it over in the AAA side of things. Some remnants of it still exist, with the occasional rare banger from a AAA studio or an indie studio making games at a AAA quality that don't suck or cost like $130 with the cut content included, but yeah, for the most part it's going extinct. The games industry as we know it now, with some good, some bad, and our back and forth with the greedy antics from big companies, is struggling, and companies like Xbox should be fighting to maintain it rather than being one of the forces trying to corporatize it even further. An obsession with short-term profit is killing it, and I believe independent developers and studios on PC are the future. But for now, we're still here and we still have plenty of good games to play, so I'm not going to be all doom and gloom here. It's just where I see us all going if companies like Microsoft, Nintendo and Sony keep pushing for a shitty future of mediocre sanitized content sold to us in the cloud via subscriptions and overpriced home consoles that are getting to the point where they're useless, or at least unviable. These companies just don't get it anymore. Consoles worked because they were cheaper and more convenient than a gaming PC, and they always made it and sold it at a loss, but regained their money in the future through accruing loads of players who then bought their games. Make the consoles more expensive and go down the road of making shitty games with hypersensitive bullshit, unappealing characters and pussified stories, and you'll just end up losing players. Losing players means losing revenue. So what do the companies do? Well, let's increase the prices of everything. Consoles, games, and subscriptions. This doesn't address the issue that's making people leave, it's only going to make even more people leave. They don't get this, and for as long as they keep not getting this, they will keep sinking the console ecosystems down. Well, Xbox and PlayStations anyway. The truth is that Nintendo is doing fine. So far anyway. Their recent changes in leadership are worrisome, but that aside, they've been doing fine, and the only reason they hiked up their prices and made stupid decisions with the Switch 2 were out of pure greed. They want to make even more money than they were already making. One way or another, hey, it is what it is. Might as well enjoy ourselves with what we've got for as long as we can, but keep an eye out on these rising trends because it may just be time to start looking towards saving for a PC in the future instead, even though that platform also has its own issues with the nouveau, DRMs, and with the fact that so many companies these days don't even bother optimizing their games on the PC platform. They kind of just expect us to have the latest and greatest hardware to power through their own incompetence. But anyway, those were just my 2 cents on the matter. Thanks for watching, guys and gals. If you made it this far, drop a like in the video. If you're new, check out some other videos, maybe you'll find a reason to subscribe. Leave your thoughts in the comments and I will see you on the next one. Take care.